Hey guys, and welcome back to the NPA for the final week of the season's Game of the Week. It has been a crazy season. Thus far, it's week number 13, and we have a matchup between Vump and the San Diego Charizards, who sit at 9-2, and Papasea's New York Klinks, who sit at 6-5. Both teams are already in the playoffs, but this is still going to be a really good matchup, and I think this is one of the best matches we've seen all season long. So taking a look at the teams, it's going to be from Vump's perspective. He has Heliolisk, Lilligant, Starmie, Hippowdon, Ferrothorn, and Mega Charizard X, with Main Shao, Blaziken with Blaze, Sneasel, Alakazam, and Braviary on the bench. Papasea has Manaphy, Rotom-Mow, Blissey, Skarmory, Quagsire, and Mega Absol, with Diancie, Hitmontop, Tangela, Hoopa Unbound, and Dodrio on the bench. So without further ado, let's jump right into this battle because it is a long one. It's the longest game of the week that we have had so far this season. So here we go. It's going to be a lead with the Mega Absol. It's always a good lead against something that wants to set up Stealth Rocks, as the Heliolisk will jump in first. So instead of Volt Switching out, Heliolisk is going to hard switch right on out into Hippowdon. An interesting switch into a Mega Absol, but the Sandstream does activate, so that's going to be some residual damage on the field for both sides, barring, Pokemon that resist it. So Mega Absol is going to come on out immediately, and obviously you have to Mega Evolve on the first turn. That's going to go for a knockoff. That knockoff is going to do good damage to the Hippowdon, and it takes out its leftovers. Always a good start to the matchup for a Pokemon to get that knockoff, especially against a bulky wall like Hippowdon. So in comes Rotom-Mow, and Hippowdon is going to switch on out. So both players switch, and in comes Charizard, which is going to have to Mega Evolve into Mega Charizard X on that first turn. It's an interesting predicament because of the electric typing of the Rotom, and of course Mega Charizard X being a fire type. Obviously now with it Mega Evolving, it no longer can do super effective damage. As the Volt Switch comes out from the Rotom-Mow, it is not very effective, and that is going to be a switch out to whatever Pokemon that Papasea wants. So in comes Fetty, the Quagsire, as Charizard is going to go for a Dragon Claw on the switch out. So gets hit by some damage from the Sandstorm, and Quagsire is going to take some recovery after taking about 40% from that Dragon Claw. Here, Vump reveals that it has Hidden Power Grass on his Charizard, and Quagsire goes down. That was an incredible move by Vump. Great planning, as that actually is a huge loss for Papasea early on. So in comes Manaphy, and this Charizard's going to get on out of here because at this point, there's no point in risking things. So in comes the Heliolisk, hopefully to take and eat up any water-type attacks, as it does with its dry skin as the Sandstorm subsides. So Manaphy's going to have to switch right back out. Papasea playing a little bit straightforward, a little bit safe, but in comes the Blissey, and Heliolisk is going to Volt Switch on out, a safe Volt Switch, as it reveals that it is indeed Life-Orbed, and that is going to go back to Vump and get a good switch in. So in comes Charizard once more. It's sitting at 91 health, as we find out that Blissey is indeed carrying leftovers. So, with that being said, the Charizard goes for a Flare Blitz onto the Blissey, and look how much damage this does. It almost KOs the Blissey, but because Blissey's HP is so high, that Charizard is going to take a tremendous amount of recoil, and with the Toxic is actually going to go down here. The Blissey is going to get credit for the kill through Toxic, as the leftovers does bring it up to a reasonable amount, about 20%, just a little bit above that, as the Mega Charizard goes down. So that's actually pretty big for Vump to lose his Mega Evolution so early on, especially with only one, maybe two more physical type attackers, and none of them can sweep. Heliolisk goes for the Thunderbolt, and it doesn't take out the massive specially defensive Blissey. It goes for the Soft Boiled, and now it's up over half, and this is a terrible situation for Vump, having a Heliolisk in against a special defensive wall like Blissey. So, Heliolisk is going to get on out. It's going to do some damage with its Volt Switch. It does about maybe 15 to 20%, which is still a lot considering how especially defensive a Blissey is in general. Obviously, this one has either HP or defense investment to be able to survive a Flare Blitz from that Charizard, but it's a pretty safe move to go for a Soft Boiled once more, and now the Blissey's back up to full health. So as you can tell, this Blissey is going to be a pain for Vump as Starmie is in off the Volt Switch. And Starmie goes for the Toxic. So that's an interesting move. It makes sense because obviously Blissey is a wall, and to cripple a wall you kind of need to do something like that. But the Blissey goes right back and Toxics the Starmie, which, that's a little bit interesting. I guess instead of going for a Seismic Toss, making sure that the Starmie can't stay in and recover and stall out the Blissey through recovery might be a good idea. But Starmie takes a little bit, Blissey takes a little bit of toxic damage, and now both parties are just absolutely poisoned and just dreading themselves. So the Starmie's going to switch right out, and it's going to go into the Ferrothorn, which obviously can't take a Toxic because of its Steel typing, as the Blissey goes for a Seismic Toss. So it's going to do 50 hit points of damage, it always does at this level, and Iron Barbs is going to come out and do a little bit of damage to Blissey, who will recover most of that up from the leftovers, and we find out that the Ferrothorn is indeed leftovers as well, which, for a Blissey, you don't have many ways to exactly hit a Ferrothorn, so it might be wise to switch out in the very near future. And that's exactly what Papasea does, so, you know, it's pretty clear that you're not going to do too much against the Ferrothorn, and the Ferrothorn actually goes for the Leech Seed, a great prediction, as the Ferrothorn's Leech Seed bounces right back because of Magic Bounce from this Mega Absol. And this would have been a great play if Ferrothorn didn't switch out. If it didn't switch out, this could have been maybe the battle right here, right now. But the Absol is going to go for a, well, on the Hippowdon switch, it's going to go for a Fire Blast, trying to catch Vump off guard. The Fire Blast still does a ton to that Hippowdon, but obviously it's not going to take it out. So instead of risking any damage, Papasea is just going to switch on out and go into Metal Greymon, the Skarmory, as the Hippowdon goes for a Slack Off. I'm not sure if Vump had anything, or if Papasea had anything that could have taken out the Hippowdon, but it doesn't much matter as Vump is going to switch out into the Heliolisk once more, as Skarmory will set up its Stealth Rocks. So as of right now, there is a Rapid Spinner on Vump's team, but Stealth Rocks is something good to have, and the Sandstorm is damaging Heliolisk and not damaging at all the Skarmory. So obviously with Heliolisk back in, the Blissey comes right back in and a Volt Switch will come out, as Vump is trying to get some Switch initiative and get his proper place on the board. So it seems that the Skarm-Bliss combination is one of the most popular ones through singles battles, period, because of that high defenses on Skarmory and high special defenses on Blissey. But Ferrothorn comes back in, and the Blissey is going to take a little bit of damage, but it's going to recover it back up from the leftovers. And if you noticed, it's no longer Toxic Poison because it does have the Natural Cure ability, which is obviously a very useful tool on something that's as bulky as a Blissey. As it goes for the Soft Boiled, really not any reason not to. You're not going to do a whole hell of a lot to the Ferrothorn, so you might as well get your health back up while you're taking on something that can't really do too much damage in return. As it goes for a Gyro Ball, it gets the crit, and it still doesn't even do 50%. So, as you can see, this stalemate between these two Pokemon is something that we're going to have to deal with for a little bit, which is why this battle is so long. It is a 60-turn battle, which is just absolutely insane, but, you know, that's what a good battle is sometimes. A lot of switching, a lot of, maybe even, not even stalling, but a lot of preparing for what your opponent's going to do next, as the Ferrothorn goes for the Leech Seed onto the Skarmory. Doesn't really matter what the switch was, but that's going to do some damage to the Skarmory, and Ferrothorn is now absolutely back up to full health. So these two Pokemon are obviously big issues. As the Ferrothorn goes for a Spikes, the fact that it went first means that we're going to see a Whirlwind come out from this Skarmory. It's going to whip out the Ferrothorn, and in comes the Heliolisk, which will take some Stealth Rocks damage. And at 60 HP is only going to be losing, except for the fact that there's Leech Seed. So that's not exactly the switch-in per se that Papasea wanted, because now the Heliolisk actually has more health than when it switched in the first place before the Stealth Rocks damage. So in comes the Blissey once more, and it's pretty clear that this is going to be what's the strategy. The Volt Switch, it's really just kind of a never-ending cycle, as the Blissey is down to about 35 HP, or 35% HP. Ferrothorn comes back out, and this is really the only actions that we have right now. This is a very delayed stall for a little while, and I would say that we're going to fast forward, but I don't want to miss something important because there is important things that happens throughout this matchup that isn't just this. So, out goes Blissey, in comes Absol once more. So now Papasea's being a little bit more efficient with his switches, and the spikes actually bounce back. So the Absol gets a free set of spikes on the switch-in, which is always a good thing. The Ferrothorn switching right out, most likely into the Hippowdon here, as it is, which is now almost at full health, and the Absol is going to go for, not sure, but obviously Stealth Rocks and Spikes. A lot of things happening, the Sandstorm, the Spikes, the Stealth Rocks. Another Fire Blast comes out from the Absol, and at 153, this is going to do about 75 damage. It's not enough to KO the Hippowdon, which means that this thing's going to switch out. I don't know if I agree with switching out again, but in comes the Rotom-o as the Hippowdon goes for a Slack Off. So the Slack Off is going to get it back up to about full health, and the Rotom-o is going to take a little bit of damage from that Sandstorm. So the Hippowdon's out. It's no way he's going to take a Leaf Storm from this Rotom-o, and in comes Lilligant. Lilligant is a dangerous, dangerous Pokemon with its ability own tempo to prevent it from being confused from its famed Petal Dance. But Rotom predicts the switch into Ferrothorn or Lilligant, and goes for the Hidden Power. We don't know if it's Hidden Power Fire or Ice. You can assume it's Fire, just because I think that's... Maybe it was Ice, and that's why he went for it, but either way, that's going to take out the Lilligant in 2 hits, and that is going to be big. I think... I'm not positive that this Rotom is Choice Scarfed. Might be, yeah, I think it is Choice Scarfed. So in comes Starmie, and I think at this point, Vump has realized that it's Choice Scarfed, as the Starmie is going to take damage, and the Rotom is going to switch out because it is locked into either HP Fire or HP Ice. So in comes the Blissey once more, and the Blissey is going to take damage from Spikes, and the Starmie goes for a Rapid Spin, which is not going to do a lot at all, but it does clear the Stealth Rocks and the layer of Spikes that was plaguing Vump's team. So we find out that the Starmie is Leftovers. So we have a lot of Leftovers recovery on Vump's team. Don't know exactly. I think, yeah, Quagsire had Leftovers. Blissey has Leftovers. You know, it's not uncommon, as we haven't seen Manaphy in a while. But the Starmie switches out, in comes Ferrothorn, and of course we're going to see the Soft Boiled come out from the Blissey, which is not unexpected. We're going to speed things up a little bit because it's not worth just sitting through this all once more. In comes the Rotom-o. Spikes come out from the Ferrothorn. And now it's a Rotom-o versus the Ferrothorn. And the Rotom-o is going to go for, it seems like, the Hidden Power. And the Hidden Power does come out. We're going to see how much damage this does to the Starmie. And it's going to do very little. Very, very little. With the Leftovers recovery, it's like, did you even scratch it? I mean, it probably did maybe 10 HP total. But out goes the Rotom-o, and in comes the Blissey once more, as the Starmie is going to go for... Well, it's actually going to hard switch out as well. So, just the fact that they double switch, the fact that, obviously, Rotom-o is outspeeding it, means that it is going to be Choice Scarf. So, Ferrothorn versus Blissey, once again, I'm just going to fast forward anytime these two are on the field together because we know what's going to happen. Ferrothorn goes for the Gyro Ball onto the Mega Absol and is actually going to be able to take it out. That's actually a really big move because now there's no way to bounce back those spikes, that Leech Seed, as Rotom-o comes out once more. And in comes Starmie. Does Rotom-o predict the switch-in? As it goes for the trick, switches a Choice Scarf onto the Starmie. Interesting strategy, as now the Rotom-o has Leftovers recovery as well. Now it's open to using different attacks, which might be the reason that that's what he went for, but the Starmie goes for Toxic. I guess Starmie's at the end of its rope, but the Volt Switch comes out from the Rotom-o. It is going to take out the Starmie. So, things are getting a little bit interesting now. We've seen all the moves on the Rotom-o. It's Well, actually, we haven't seen Leaf Storm yet, but it's assumed that it's carrying Leaf Storm. As that's the end of Mega Absol, that is the end of the Starmie, it's the end of the Lilligant. So it is currently a 4v3 in favor of Papasea, as we do see the Blissey, and we see the Ferrothorn once more. So Soft Boil comes out from the Blissey, and this Ferrothorn is going to go for a Gyro Ball, which is not going to do too much. It's going to do about 20%, and then maybe about 15% after Leftovers Recovery. So Blissey goes for the Aromatherapy, which is interesting. I don't know if there was anything on his team that was actually statused. So I don't fully understand that play. Maybe it was a misclick. But in comes a Seismic Toss onto the Ferrothorn. It does 50 damage, which is a little under 1/3, as the Ferrothorn starts setting up spikes. With the Leftovers Recovery, it's going to do much less than that. It's going to do about 39 HP each time. And if you can math with me here, that's about a 5-hit KO. You know, it's 178, so yeah, it's a 5-hit KO. Now with the Leech Seed, though, it's going to be even less, and we're just going to go back out, and obviously with the Leech Seed damage, look how much damage that thing just picked up. That Leech Seed just generated 45 hit points worth of recovery for the Ferrothorn. That's as much as the Seismic Toss is doing. So the Gyro Ball comes out, and obviously Blissey is dead weight at this point. There's nothing really it can do, and the Ferrothorn will take it out if they stay one-on-one in this situation because of the Leech Seed. So Ferrothorn is obviously winning this battle, as Papasea is going to switch out into the Rotom-Mow once more, and the Ferrothorn is going to switch out as well. So in comes Heliolisk, which is now going to outspeed this Rotom-Mow, which is interesting. It is carrying now Leftovers versus the Heliolisk, which is Life Orb. And the Heliolisk is going to go for a Volt Switch, which is going to be very much resisted by this Rotom. And Rotom is going to go for, we'll see in a second, but the Life Orb damage comes out, and in comes the Ferrothorn once more. So we're going to see for the first time Leaf Storm from this Rotom-Mow. It's going to do nothing to this Ferrothorn, but more importantly, -2 special attack for this Rotom-Mow. So that's going to be a big moment, as now the Ferrothorn can actually stay on the field. If it is HP Fire, it can stay on the field a little bit and absorb one of those. As the Ferrothorn's going to switch out, we'll find out here if it is HP Fire or not, as the Hippowdon comes in, sets back up the sand. And we've seen a lot of switching in this matchup, but it's getting a lot of board position. And we do see the Hidden Power, so it is presumably Hidden Power Fire. That's why he decided to use that against the Ferrothorn. Obviously, he would have Volt Switched out otherwise, but tried to catch him, didn't work. The Hippowdon comes in, and now the Rotom-Mow is going to hard switch out because he can't Volt Switch, and it's going to go right into the Skarmory. So Skarmory is going to avoid any of the shenanigans from Earthquake and anything like that. I mean, technically the Rotom wouldn't have been affected by that anyway. So it's just a switch into the Skarmory as a wall of some sort, as Skarmory is now dealing with spikes and dealing with all different types of hazards on the field. It's not a pleasant sight. As it goes for the Whirlwind, and in comes the Heliolisk, which is going to get buffeted by the Sandstorm, and with a few more turns of Life Orb is going to go down. So instead of taking that Life Orb damage, it actually just switches directly out into the Ferrothorn once more. Not really sure why you could have been able to take out that Skarmory in this turn, potentially, maybe, but instead of Volt Switching out, in comes the Blissey once more, and you can see Papasea's strategy is pretty clear, as this Blissey is taking a ton of damage. It's actually at the end of its rope, potentially. If a Power Whip, if it's carrying that or something, comes out from this Ferrothorn and connects, it might be able to take out the Blissey if it does outspeed, but it doesn't. So Blissey goes for the Soft Boiled once more, and that's going to take it all the way back up to nearly full as Leech Seed comes out from the Ferrothorn. So Ferrothorn is one of the slowest Pokemon in the game. It's not surprising that it didn't outspeed the Blissey. But either way, Leftovers Recovery plus then Leech Seed, and this Ferrothorn is just dominating the field right now. So in comes the Skarmory, and a Gyro Ball comes out from the Ferrothorn, which does minimal damage to the Skarmory. And it's going to take Rocky Helmet damage. So we find out the item finally on this Skarmory. It is indeed Rocky Helmet. So the Skarmory is in an interesting position. It goes for the Stealth Rocks. Now that the Rapid Spinner is gone, And this is a good tool to have because now you're going to get some switch damage on the Heliolisk, on the Hippowdon. As Leech Seed comes out from the Ferrothorn, we're just going to speed up this Leftovers recovery and Leech Seed because the animation is just taking a tremendous amount of time for this battle. So now we see a Roost come out from the Skarmory, which is an interesting play. And we're going to see a Power Whip come out from the Ferrothorn, which does minimal damage. And obviously with the Leech Seed, the Rocky Helmet, a lot of things are going on for this battle as the Skarmory is down to about a third HP. And it goes for the Whirlwind now, and it drags out the Hippowdon, which will set back up the sand, but it will take a little bit of Stealth Rock damage. And this battle's a little bit it's a little dry at the moment. But we haven't seen Manaphy in a very long time as Roost comes out once more from the Skarmory, and Stone Edge comes out and misses from the Hippowdon. It wouldn't have mattered because it would have been a Steel type only, but it's still something worth noting. So, Skarmory has taken its damage from Leech Seed, and in comes the Manaphy once more. Now Manaphy has to be very careful here, because a Surf will absolutely recover up that Heliolisk as a Stone Edge comes out into the Manaphy, and it does very minimal damage, as it will take some damage from the Sandstorm. And we find out that the Manaphy is indeed Leftovers as well. So really no offensive threats per se from Papasea's team as the Ice Beam comes out onto the Hippowdon. It does about half and the Earthquake comes out. Because the Sandstorm does go first, Manaphy's going to take some damage. It's going to be put into the red and it's going to recover that back up from Leftovers. So another Ice Beam might be able to take out the Hippowdon, but just in case, Heliolisk is going to most likely... Oh, it's actually going to be Ferrothorn here to switch in on the Manaphy. Take some damage, and the Ice Beam comes out from the Manaphy onto the Ferrothorn, and it's going to do not too much. But now that Manaphy and Ferrothorn are one-on-one in this situation, Leftovers comes out for both. And we're going to find that the Manaphy just goes for another Ice Beam into the Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn goes for the Power Whip and takes out the Manaphy. So Manaphy didn't do a whole hell of a lot in this battle, and now it is a 3v3, but there's only one Pokemon that can issue any offensive power, and that is the Rotom-Mow, as the Rotom-Mow is going to come on in. Technically, only one Pokemon on each side can really issue too much damage. It's going to be the Heliolisk and the Rotom-Mow. So in comes a Hippowdon once more to deal with the Rotom, as it's going to take a little bit of damage from the Stealth Rocks, and the Sandstorm whips right back up. The Rotom goes for Hidden Power, and this is a big moment. Does it do enough to put it into 2-hit KO range? It does. If that is a low roll, then that is going to put it into 2-hit KO range, because it did about 46, has 42 HP left. Another Hidden Power comes out, and it does take out the Hippowdon. So that's a huge moment in this battle because Heliolisk has nothing to really do tremendous damage to this Rotom, and a Hidden Power Fire from this Rotom-Mow will be able to take out that Ferrothorn. So Heliolisk is going to have to come in. It's going to take damage from the Stealth Rocks. And playing it safe, it is a 3v2 right now. In comes the Blissey to deal with the Heliolisk once more. So Heliolisk is going to go, and it is going to go for the Hyper Voice onto the Blissey. It is not going to take it out. It's just outside 2-hit KO range, maybe? Maybe. It might be able to take it out, actually, with one more hit, as the Blissey is down to the red after Leftovers recovery. So Heliolisk is going to go for a Hyper Voice, and it is going to take out the Blissey. So the Heliolisk does go down and takes out the Blissey, but this battle is pretty much over because it is a 1v2 situation. You have the Skarmory and you have the Rotom-Mow to deal with the Ferrothorn. A Hidden Power Fire, one of them will not take out per se the Ferrothorn, but two definitely should, as both Pokemon will take some Stealth Rocks damage. So out comes that HP Fire into the Ferrothorn. It's going to do a tremendous amount. Doesn't take it out. Gyro Ball comes out from the Ferrothorn. The last-ditch effort to try to take out this Rotom. It does not do it, and one more HP Fire will finish off this battle as a 2-0 victory for Papasea, and the New York Klinks. This has been an incredible back and forth battle. I think both players played tremendously well. I think the fact that they built their teams this way shows that they were really prepared for one another. Seeing different moves like that HP Grass on the Charizard X, the offensive Charizard X, seeing the Fire Blast on the Absol. I mean, these are some moves that you don't really see all that often. I think it was really a great back and forth battle, as the final game of the week definitely lived up to expectations. Papasea's New York Klinks improved to 7-5, while Vump San Diego Charizards fall to 9-3. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am Moonlight Swami. This has been an incredible season. Thank you so much for listening to me as the NPA Game of the Week analyst for all these weeks. It's been a blast, and I hope to be a member of the battling team for the next season whenever that does come around. But thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Moonlight Swami, and I'll be talking to you guys later. Peace.